I told him I wasn't attracted to him anymore while I was drunk. When I woke up, this happened. If I could turn back time and give myself a slap, I wouldn't think longer than a second. Hello, guys. My name is Emily. I am 30 years old, and my husband is Luke, 35. We have been together for 3 years. I don't even know where to start with this, so maybe all I can do is just let it out. Let me warn you up front, this is not one of those movies where, at the end, everything magically falls back into place, as if everything had a silver lining. This is ugly, shameful, and entirely my doing. Luke is the kind of man most women dream of, kind, dependable, and selfless. He runs a small business and works hard, yet he always finds time for me. He's the kind of man who remembers how I like my coffee without asking, who stays up late to help me with things I didn't even realize I needed help with. But somehow, I started seeing him differently. At first, I loved his simplicity, his steady nature, but over time, I began comparing him to the men my friends talked about their husbands who were taller, fitter, more adventurous. It started as a tiny seed of doubt, growing with every brunch conversation, every perfect Instagram couple I scrolled past. I told myself I was being ungrateful, that love isn't about appearances. But the feeling didn't go away. Then came the night that ruined everything. It was a regular girls' night out, the kind where we'd meet up, have a few drinks, laugh about our week. But this time, I drank more than I should have. 1 drink turned into 3, then 4. I wasn't just drunk, I was floating in a mix of alcohol, self-pity, and something worse, resentment. By the time I got home, I could barely walk straight. And Luke, being the man he is, had stayed up to make sure I got home safe. That should have made me feel loved, grateful. But instead, I looked him straight in the eyes and said the most disgusting, hurtful thing I have ever said. I'm not even attracted to you anymore. Just like that. No context, no explanation. Just those 6 cruel words. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a sick feeling in my stomach. At first, I didn't remember anything, but when I saw Luke sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor like someone had just stabbed him in the heart, I knew something was wrong. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke, but his words hit me like a truck. Is that what you really think of me? I blinked at him, confused, my mind still foggy. And then, he repeated my words back to me. That's when the weight of what I had done came crashing down. I panicked. I tried to play it off, blamed the alcohol. Luke, I was drunk. You know I didn't mean it. But he didn't argue, didn't yell. He just nodded, stood up, and walked out of the room. That's when I felt it, something between us had snapped. Something I wasn't sure I could ever fix. For the next few days, Luke wasn't angry. He wasn't cruel. He was just distant. He stopped checking in on me, stopped waiting for me to get home. The little things he used to do, like texting me during the day just to say he loved me, stopped completely. And that silence, it was the worst punishment of all. I tried to fix things. I cooked his favorite meals, even though I was terrible at cooking. I left little notes in his lunch bag like I used to when we first got married. One night I even tried to initiate intimacy, hoping it would bridge the gap between us. But every time he just gave me this sad, tired look, like he wanted to say something but couldn't. And then he'd say, "Not tonight, Emily, maybe another time." That should have been my wake-up call, but instead of facing the mess I had created, I ran away from it. One Friday night, the house felt suffocating. Luke had barely spoken to me all week, and when he did, it was like every word took effort. I felt like I was drowning in guilt and silence. So instead of staying home and dealing with it, I went out again. I told myself it was just to clear my head, that I wouldn't drink too much this time, but deep down, I knew I was looking for an escape. That's when I met him. A man. Confident. Charismatic. The opposite of Luke. He slid onto the bar stool next to me and said, "You look like you've had a long day. I should have walked away, but instead I let him talk to me. I let him make me feel wanted. I let him flirt with me. And then, I let him kiss me. The moment our lips touched, I felt sick, like I had just stepped off a cliff with no way back up. And then, I turned and saw Luke sitting in his car, watching. My heart stopped. He didn't get out. He didn't yell. He didn't even react. He just rolled up his window and drove away. That was the moment I knew. I had lost him. The next morning, I woke up hoping, praying that maybe he'd come home, that maybe we could fix things. But when I walked into the kitchen, he was already there, waiting. His voice was calm but final. "You made it clear last night that you don't respect me or our marriage." I begged. I pleaded. I swore it meant nothing, but he just shook his head. "I need some time to think." And then he packed his bags, and he never came back. 6 months have passed. Luke? He's doing better than ever. He's dating someone new, someone beautiful, someone who makes him happy. And me? I'm alone. Even my friends have distanced themselves. My own mother, when she found out what happened, just shook her head and said, "Emily, you had everything most women dream of, and you threw it away." She was right. I don't get a happy ending. I don't get redemption. I get to live with my regret. So if you're listening to this, don't take what you have for granted. Because once it's gone, you might never get it back. Goodbye.